Something crazy is just happening in Israel just moments ago, and the entire world is now shocked. That what just happened is something that the Bible has already predicted.
Iran has tonight launched retaliatory strikes on Israel. Well, this was the scene in Tel Aviv in Israel just an hour or two ago. There have been huge explosions in the sky over central Israel.
This is a war Israel's leaders have long prepared for. The price of failure for Israel's air defenses already written on neighborhoods like Bat Yam.
Now, it's not even joke anymore, and I think for the very first time in the history of humankind, we are now noticing that the things that's happening is exactly what has been specified in the biblical scriptures. Because just moments ago, it seems like Iran has combined their forces with China, and they started bombarding all over Israel. And this is something that is very specifically mentioned in the Bible as one of the prophecies that will come true before the miraculous intervention of God happens, and the entire world is going to witness this stuff happening as God's going to be intervening in this war and saving Israel from destruction. Now, this is the one thing that everyone's really shocked to see if it's going to happen or not. Just take a look at this. I genuinely cannot even comprehend to believe this stuff, but this is actually happening right now. This is what the Tel Aviv region in Israel currently looks like. These are the residential apartments that's completely broken down. And I mean, just take a look at this mass destruction that just took place in Israel. This is just beyond imagination. They have literally just struck down the main cities, and it actually looks like this right now all over Israel. Everything is broken down, man. Everything is completely fried, broken down. There is even traffic moving on. I don't know how many people have lost their lives in this incident that just took place, but yeah, this is some crazy mass destruction. And it seems like they have directly attacked on the civilians. There is no longer, hide and seeks. I don't think that, Iranian government is holding back anymore. They're all in. And this is something that the Bible has already prophesied is going to be happening. I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but take a look at this Iranian hypersonic missile that just attacked just a couple hours ago. And this is how crazy fast this thing is. Damn. Imagine you're just staying in an apartment and just looking out at the sky, and this thing just falls in. Damn, that's insane. The amount of firepower that this thing holds and the speed. I don't think the Iron Dome is able to fight off this thing. Usually, Iron Dome is known to have pretty good protection. They seem to be doing pretty good when it comes to counterattacking any of these missiles. But for some reason, it seems like they can't really do shit when it comes to hypersonic missiles. Now, what's actually interesting about this stuff is that in the scripture called the Bible, there is some very specific information given about how Iran is going to be attacking Israel. And once they do it, there is going to be some sort of a divine intervention that will happen, and the entire world is going to see that stuff happening. And that's something, everyone's now curious to see. Now that, Israel is under attack from Iran, maybe, there might be some sort of a divine intervention that's going to happen. Now, this is what the prophecy says. This is what the scripture says. In Ezekiel chapter 38 to 39, it speaks of a nation named Persia, which in the scripture is known as Persia because back then there was no nation called Iran, where it seems like Persia is going to be collaborating with many different countries. It says that the nations named Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, all with shields and helmets. And Persia equals to ancient name for modern day Iran. So that's basically what Iran used to be known for back in the biblical times. So now Persia is basically modern day Iran itself. And Gog is actually seen as a leader from the far north. Many intercept that this could be Russia, and some people even say that it's going to be China. But take a look at this stuff. It seems like two giant cargo planes flying from China to Iran has turned their tracking device off. You can't really track their signals anymore mid-air before entering Iranian airspace. And reports suggest that they may be carrying military supplies in order to aid Iran to take down Israel. And this is what's going on in the news.
Chinese aircraft landed in Iran under total radio silence. Chinese cargo aircrafts just vanished off radar before entering Iran. Its transponder was turned off mid-air right before entering Iranian airspace. Analysts suspect a covert mission, possibly military cargo or air defense systems. These planes may have been carrying military supplies like drones or radar parts, but there's no proof and no official statement, yet Iran hasn't commented. But this move raises serious questions. It's the same playbook used by America to refuel Israel jets. Follow PrimeScope for unfiltered.
So basically, as the prophecy already states, it seems like China, which is the GOG leader that's being specified in the scriptures of Bible, where it seems like they're going to be helping Iran in order to fight against Israel. And this is something that's been very, very clearly prophesied in the Bible. And for the very first time, people really can't reject the scriptures anymore, because every single thing that we're seeing every single day is something that's been written in the scriptures. And atheists are even starting to research and see if whether or not the Bible is true, and whether or not if the things that are happening in the prophecies are actually coming true or not. And that's the reason why I'm making these videos, so that people who don't really know about this stuff, they could most possibly get to know what's going on around the world and how it's linked to any of these biblical events. I also watched this guy named Kero Jitsu, and he actually has a lot of good information about what's really going on in the world right now.
Just take a look at what he has to say. We might be nearing the end. Biblically speaking, we see that God made a promise to Israel, and prophecies are being fulfilled as we speak. It goes back to what God promised Abraham in Genesis 17:8. I will give to you and your offspring all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession. That means even if Israel sinned, even if they went against Christ, their promise still stands. But why? Because God doesn't break his covenants even when we break ours. But didn't the people of Israel reject the Messiah? Yeah, John 1:11 says this. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But Romans 11 explains that.
So let me just explain this stuff on whatever he's speaking. We obviously know that Israel kind of just rejected Jesus. They said that, well, he was not our Messiah. And the prophecy says that they will do that stuff, right? The prophecy already says that they will do it, and they're going to keep doing it until this happens, until this war happens where Israel gets destroyed by Iran. And that's like the final thing that's going to be happening. And after Israel gets destroyed and they kind of realize that, well, the prophecies are actually true, the Bible is true, and that's when they turn to Jesus. And it says that they will eventually come a day where Israelites will eventually turn to Jesus, and they will start crying out for help. And that's the day that God is going to send his son for the second time. And this time, it's going to be a divine intervention where it seems like it's impossible for Israel to win the war. But that's where God is going to intervene according to the scriptures. And he's basically going to do something so divine that the entire world is going to be shocked on how this could even be possible naturally. So it's going to be a sign for the entire world that the prophecies are officially coming true. Now, this is what's interesting about the scriptures, because eventually we are at that time where we're just waiting to see if something divine is going to be happening anytime soon. If that happens, we obviously know the scriptures are 100% real. Now take a look at what he has to say.
This rejection was part of the bigger plan. Because of their transgression, salvation came to the Gentiles. God used their rejection to open the door to the rest of the world. But it doesn't end there. So where does Iran fit into all of this? Iran is the ancient Persia. And the Bible mentions Persia by name in the end times. In Ezekiel 38, in the end times, we see a coalition of nations rise against Israel. Persia, Sudan, Libya, Turkey. It says, you will go up against a land of unwalled villages, attack a people gathered of many nations. Ezekiel 38:11. But the crazy part is we're seeing it live. Hostility between Iran and Israel. Syria is destabilized, and China and Russia are taking sides. The Bible saw this coming thousands of years ago. But what about the land being destroyed? The Bible talks about Babylon being destroyed suddenly.
And that's obviously Gaza, Israel basically destroyed Gaza.
Not fully clear what will happen, but we know that God will protect Israel in the end times. God says all nations will gather against her, but I will make her an immovable rock. But why would God still protect Israel if they rejected his own son?
Because a lot of people have the same question. Why would God do that if they kind of just rejected him, right? So this dude seems to give like a perfect explanation to that stuff.
God doesn't operate like us humans. Prophecy still must be fulfilled. God's faithfulness isn't dependent on their faithfulness. Romans 11:26 says, all Israel will be saved as it is written. If God still keeps his promise to the people that still rejected him, now imagine how faithful he's going to be to us, those who love him and call on him. I want you to listen because
Exactly, right? So that's like the craziest part about the entire scriptures. So what's interesting is that even though we might sin, even though we might reject God sometimes, he's so good that he is not going to reject us no matter what. He's always going to keep up the promise. If he says he's going to do it, he will do it. Even though you reject him, whatever you might do. So that's the one thing that makes God stand out and be much more respectable being compared to us humans. Like sometimes we get hurt and we do things that we don't really want to do, but then that's not the same with God. He's gonna do what he says he will do, no matter how hard you're hurting him. So that's the kind of promise he's trying to keep up in terms of what he's going to be doing with Israel. But as of now, man, there is some massive destruction that's going on in Israel. I really cannot comprehend to see what's really happening, because I actually came across one of these videos. Just take a look at this one, where one of the civilians were basically recording the stuff that's going on in the skies because there were missiles falling down. And the missile actually drops right in front of this dude. And that's literally one of the scariest shit. Look at this. He just keeps recording. You can hear the missiles dropping down. And out of the blue, his apartment is going to be the next one, man. Damn. The screams. Oh, man. The screams. I really can't really hear that stuff. This is literally devastating. Just take a look at what's actually happened to some of the oil refineries in Israel right now. Everything's destroyed. And we have one of the most devastating footage from one of the guys who recorded it from one of the residential apartments, where it seems like Iran fires 200 missiles in each attack, which if all hit would reduce Tel Aviv and its entire towers to rubbles. And this is basically how it freaking looks. Damn. Just look at the way the sonic wave just bursts in. Take a look at this stuff. Look at that, man. There is a sonic wave that just pushes back. Damn. And all of that place is city, by the way. I don't think there's ever been war in such a scale where, they literally just start attacking cities. That shit looks scary, dude. Not even gonna lie. If you're watching this and you know that those things are headed towards you, just imagine. And since the Iron Dome isn't working anymore, that's a scary scenery to look at. We never know what's gonna happen any second. Damn. And then there's like an Iranian military page on Twitter where they have now shared that they are going to be using some of the supersonic missiles in just a couple hours from now, since I'm making this video. And they just revealed this stuff, man. They just revealed this stuff. And this is basically how it's going to work. Take a look at this stuff. This is how it's going to work, right? Look at the speed of that thing. Damn. Oh. So this is BrahMos, which is from India. So this is like the Indian missile. So if I compare that, BrahMos is actually pretty fast, man. Damn. And if you compare that with what's happening right now, I think this is the one. This is the one that they're releasing. China's is the fastest. Oh my lord. Oh, that is deadly. That's deadly. And even the Terran Defense Force kind of just tweeted this out, saying that, they are coming for Israel and it's finally time that they need to pay. They're loading in the bad boys, and this is the one that China has been supplying them. I don't know what the hell is going to be happening, but everything is just looking super hard. This woman on the streets is like terrified of all the missiles that's dropping in. So she's basically calling up on Elohim. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Elohim is like the word that's mentioned in the Bible for the name of God. So there are people that are crying out, and that's exactly what the Bible also says, that there will come a day where, Israel's people are going to get on their knees and they're going to start crying to God to save them from what's happening. And that's going to be the day when everyone in Israel starts crying out. That's going to be the day when God is going to decide to intervene in this war with some divine power, letting the entire world know that this is God's protected nation and these are his people. And let me just show you guys what the verse says. In Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 34 to 39, it says that I will break the bow of Elam, the mainstay of their might. Elam is the region in South Iran, and that's what God says that he's going to do the day they start attacking on Israel. And even in Psalm chapter 83, it says that though Iran is not directly named, some link this to Iranian support for groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and Palestinian factions. And also in Isaiah chapter 17, it says, behold, Damascus will cease to be a city and will become a heap of ruins, possibly involving Iranian proxies, as Iran has major influence in Syria. It is obviously very, very clear that everything that's been mentioned in the scriptures are now officially coming true. So to answer your question in a very simple term, so does the Bible prophesy that Iran attacking Israel is going to happen? And the answer is yes, indirectly, because Iran back in those times is known as Persia. So Iran, the name itself is not mentioned, but which is now being debunked and translated, and people know that that's what Iran is. And it's clearly mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 38 as part of the coalition that invades Israel, and what many people believe is a future prediction of prophetic war. And this attack leads to a divine intervention by God himself, where Israel is supernaturally protected. Now, this is what the Bible says, that there will come a day where Israel is going to be supernaturally protected. And when this actually happens, it also says that there will be some sort of a sign before this thing happens in the sky. And a lot of people are going to start seeing the sky, and they're going to see some sort of a sign. And they might see some sort of a sign from God, which kind of just reassures that, yes, God is watching whatever is happening. And I just came across one of these videos, and I actually came across one of these videos that I think you guys should definitely take a look at this one. It's not just some sort of a camera glare that she's getting. It's actually something that a lot of people have also noticed.
This is literally shining in my bedroom window. Am I the only one that see this?
Look at that stuff.
Yo,
it literally looks like a cross.
See this?
And this is what mentions the Bible. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth. In Luke chapter 21.
Y'all look at that.
Verse 25.
This is great. Do y'all see what I see? This is literally
That's actually crazy, right?
Bedroom window.
A lot of people are saying that they've also seen the same thing. And there's a lot of footage, and a lot of people are saying that they saw the same thing in the sky. They are basically starting to see some sort of a cross, and the star itself, it kind of just starts shining in the middle. I don't know what it is. This could be just something natural. We don't know. Maybe it's God or maybe not. But yeah, we just got to be skeptic about this thing. I don't think we should blindly just fall in and say everything is about God. But obviously, all the prophecies that are happening right now, it definitely just gives us a sign that, yes, these are the things that is predicted in the Bible. And what a great time to be alive, because we are finally going to be witnessing the end times, and everything that's happening right now is a solid proof. And I think you guys should go ahead and share this video with as many people as possible. And a lot of people are so lost in this generation, and I think they are actually neglecting reading the scriptures, learning about the biblical stuff that's happening around the world. And that's the reason I started making these videos, in order to let people know on what's happening. And obviously, I don't want to make videos that are like completely blind faith Christian. That's not what I want to do on this channel, but that's not what I do. I'm trying to achieve something where I let people that really don't know about God to actually be invited in order to learn some things that are happening around the world, because many people are not really interested in knowing about God, and they might only be interested if they see some actual solid proof of what's happening around the world. So you can't really go to anyone and be like, well, you know what, Jesus is God, you need to believe it, or if you don't, you're going to hell. Nobody's going to believe that stuff. Let's be honest, there have been so many pastors, so many people trying to save people and save lives, but those things doesn't really work at the end of the day. I think there need to be people that actually are practical, and they also share some of the solid proof that's happening, and also reference that with the biblical stuff, so that people that really don't know about the Bible and the scriptures, they kind of watch these videos and they kind of understand on what's really happening and what makes sense to them. So that's something that I'm trying to do on this channel, rather than just pushing in the agenda. I see a lot of people in the comments who are like, well, You're not supposed to say this stuff because that's not biblical. You're not supposed to, speak these words because that's against God. Now, obviously, yes, you need to be real because this is a generation where people really don't care about Bible or scriptures or God. And I think a lot of Christians fail to understand that if you start behaving extremely weird to these people, they're not even going to give their time in order to listen to you. So I think it's completely all right to be normal and have like a very normal conversation and to share this information to these people so they can make sense with what you're saying and also start researching about the stuff. So that's the one reason why I ask every single one of you guys to go ahead, share these videos with as many people as you possibly can so that they can get to know the stuff that's going on in the world and how it's related to the scriptures and what's actually coming up in the future for us. I think we should kind of loosen up and try to save as many people as possible in the language that they would basically understand. So the one thing that you guys can do from your part is simply just go ahead, leave a like in this video as well as a comment, because what it does is it basically boosts the algorithm on YouTube, because YouTube is a platform which kind of just pushes the video to as many people as possible, only if there are people that watch the video that also liked it and commented. So if there are more likes and comments, this means that YouTube is going to be pushing out these videos to more people so that more people can get to watch it. More people might actually see what's going on in the world and they might turn to Christ. And this could be one of the good things that every single one of you guys watching this video are actually doing. And it hardly takes a couple seconds for you guys to do it. And you're not going to lose anything. At the same time, there's a lot to gain because from whatever effort you guys are putting in, it's actually going to make a lot of difference in many people's life. You never know. You could be the reason why someone that never believed in God might end up watching this video and might actually start researching more about the Bible and get to know God eventually. So you're going to make a difference. So make sure to go ahead and do your part. I really, really appreciate every single one of you guys that has been supporting this channel and doing so much more than what's required in order to share the content. It really makes a lot of difference. And let me know down below in the comments, whatever is happening right now in Israel, do you guys actually believe that this is what the prophecies already been stating for all these years? Do you think it's finally time that we might eventually start seeing the divine intervention from God, where God's going to probably save Israel? And if that happens, the entire world is going to be shocked. And I think this video is going to be reaching out to more people. And eventually it's going to wake a lot of people up. And with that being said, if you guys are interested in podcasts like these, where I share all the things that's going on around the world, it's not just going to be biblical. There's going to be a lot of different content as well. Basically content that's related to everyday's life. I don't really want to keep the content too deep into just being a religious cult kind of a channel. I want to make this more casual so that many different types of people are also interested in watching the content and getting to know stuff as I make some of the biblical content. So I want to cover everything. I really hope you guys support me on that journey. And with that being said, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Till then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.